What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to The Bench. And today we are jumping onto the P400 and we are going to finish off this kit. We're going to do decals, weathering, all that good stuff. Get that flat coat on there. So let's go ahead and dive in, get started. The last time we ended off with a nice gloss coat of Future. It's looking pretty good. I did end up actually adding one additional coat. So we actually have 2 coats of Future on here. So we're going to go ahead and move on to decals. For some reason, this P400 has so many stencils, they actually outnumber the physical markings on the aircraft. So that's a little bit unusual. We're going to go ahead and just move on and do what we can. So in terms of stencils, we're going to go ahead and mark those off first, get those applied down to the model kit. Then we'll come on back with the other markings. Luckily, Edward does mark off which stencils you are to use for which version you're building. So I've got that highlighted, so we should be able to jump in, get those done, and then we'll move on to the other main portion of the aircraft. A little micro saw, a little micro set, very typical decal application process, and that's going to get us ready for weathering. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we can do. Alright guys, we are back and we have the decals all nicely applied. We've also overcoated that with a coat of Future off camera just to go ahead and protect our decals. It's really weird that there were that many stencils and there was only a handful of actual markings. Very, very interesting, but we're going to start in on the weathering process. This is going to be a multiple step process here, guys. I'm going to try to do some new techniques. We're going to just attempt to really accentuate the different camo patterns here because as the story goes, this aircraft was cobbled together from a bunch of P400s. And one of the things I want to try to do with weathering is accentuate the differences in paint schemes. We have the one wing that's the American color of OD green over that neutral gray. Then we've got the RAF pattern of dark earth, dark green, and over that sky color. So I want to go ahead and accentuate those with my sledge washes. I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of masking tape where we're going to mask off the RAF camo. We're going to concentrate on the American camo side by using some AK panel liners as, again, a sledge wash, trying to go ahead and tint that paint down even further to give it a really kind of a wow factor. This is an entirely different wing. It's from a totally different airacobra. So let's go ahead and move on here. We're going to start applying our sledge washes. I want to go ahead and then do an oil dot filter, and then we'll use some Tamiya panel liners of the landing gears and whatnot and hit it with a flat coat. That should leave us ready to go for the next stage of weathering. So onwards and uppers, guys. Let's push on. Let's keep it going. All right, so we are back and that went over really, really well. We have all of our sledge washers applied and we're going to move on to some chipping. Now this is where I've made one of my first errors here on the kit. What I should have done is I should have applied some silver paint on the different areas and then overcoated that with a chipping fluid and then hit it with my paint. But I didn't do that. Just got so excited about painting on the camo. So I completely screwed up the order of operations. So instead, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to settle with some colored pencil chipping. I'm going to use some silver. I'm going to go ahead and try out maybe some yellow green, maybe some green, just to go ahead and add in a little bit of subtle color differences. This is not necessarily ideal, but I've seen some models look pretty cool with colored pencil chipping. So we're going to go ahead and just push it and see what we can do. Like I said, I should have just chipped it with paint, but I'm not going to go ahead and attempt to try to paint this thing again. So this is going to be just fine. All I'm really looking to do is add some additional wear and tear around different panels and around the wing walks, and I think we should be good with that. Also, a little bit of silver colored pencil around the leading edges of each of the propeller blades, and then maybe draw a couple of streaks back just to give it the look of it's been spinning, it's been kicking up dust, and hopefully that gives us the appearance that we're looking for. Weathering has been kind of a new thing for me, relatively speaking. I've only been weathering my aircraft for the last maybe 5 years or so. I'm not really that well practiced, and it's been getting increasingly more and more complicated. Been trying out new things and kind of pushing the envelope just a little bit. And so far so good, I'm learning quite a bit. Plus I'm having fun, can't complain. Now that we have everything more or less ready to go, we're going to go ahead and apply some very subtle panel fading. Since it already has a flat coat on top of this, I'm going to take some AK panel liners, I'm going to take some other oil paints and whatnot, and we're going to go ahead and work systematically through each of these different areas, and we're going to tint down a couple of panels. We're going to add in even more dust and grime. I want to come in with some pin washes. I want to add in some airbrushing here for some of the exhaust staining coming off that engine, see what I can do with oil paints. After that's all done, I'll come back, I'll hit it with a flat coat. After that, we can call it quits and I can show you the finished product. So onwards, guys, let's go ahead and get this last time lapse in. Let's finish her up. Alright everybody, after 9 episodes we have finally finished our P-400 by Eduard in 1/48 scale. And I gotta tell you, overall, this was a really fun project. I had a few minor slip-ups here and there, got a little excited about some things, forgot to do some steps, but ultimately I had a blast with the build and I'm really happy to have an actual P-400 in my display case. So let me go ahead and show you the finished product. And here it is, guys. This is the finished P-400. And as you can see, we have a definite difference between the different color camo schemes, We've got different weathering patterns. We just tried to make it as different looking as possible because that's the story of the aircraft. We've got the neutral gray, we've got the olive drab on one side, and then the dark earth and dark green and sky on the undersurface. You can really tell a difference on the underside because of that crazy demarcation line between the gray and the sky. We added in a drop tank, left it a little bit cleaner because I figured, well, it's a drop tank, it's going to be a new one. Didn't really have any issues with parts, a couple of fit issues here and there, but really nothing too bad. A very, very fun kit to build. Now, however, that's not to say that this kit went off without a hitch. The main issue here happened with the windscreen. Now, if you remember back in the early episodes, they had me install a piece of photo etch with a clear film on it, and I used super glue. That was a mistake. I should have used Elmer's school glue because the super glue etched the clear part on the windscreen. That's a rookie mistake, guys, to be honest. I should have known better. I just completely forgot. And well, now I have an etched, marred front windscreen. So I tried polishing it out as best as I could with some plastic polisher. I was able to lessen it a little bit, but still, that's a reminder, as Joe said, I'll never make that mistake again, and hopefully I won't. But let me go ahead and show you a close up here, and I'll give you some look at some of the other details. So you can see, we of course have those stupid lines right in the middle of our windscreen, which is really aggravating, but oh well. The rest of it actually was a lot of fun, and I think I have succeeded in moving forward with getting a different weathering pattern on both of these different areas. We did a little bit of airbrushing here for the exhaust coming off of those exhaust stacks, and then of course we did some pencil chipping. We added in this little blade here on the front of the pitot tube, painted that silver, so that's actually a bit more accurate. Undersurface did a lot of work trying to make the neutral gray side of the wing and the sky side of the aircraft to be very different. I added in some dusting of buff color shot through the airbrush, so that's actually pretty good. Some heavy weathering right there along the joint because, well, if it's a different wing, they've spent some time down there wrenching and whatnot, so that's probably going to be a bit dirtier. I tried to go ahead and capture that. And again, on the upper section, I tried to do the exact same thing. I also came in with some airbrush, and I airbrushed some light gray color here. And then I also did a little bit of buff color to go ahead and give it a look of some dust coming off those exhaust stacks. I wanted to try to stay away from powders, and I wanted to really try to use the airbrush. So I think that worked out pretty well. Got my aerial here by Easy Line, and that looks okay. Kind of wraps it up and ties it off to be a decent looking little aircraft. But that is it, guys. This is what it is. I'm actually very happy with my results of the weathering. The only issue I really have, of course, is that stupid mistake I made where I used super glue instead of Elmer's glue. That really kind of screwed up the entire front of the windscreen. But what are you going to do, right? No kit I've ever built has come away without some mistake or some, accident. It is what it is. And I think honestly, despite all of that, the aircraft looks pretty cool. Did a lot of work blending and shading and all that stuff. I just tried my best with it, and I've done a lot of weathering on it, and I've got that really interesting kind of stark appearance between the olive drab and of course the British camo. And then we've got some weathering here with pencil chipping and with oil washes, and we did that blending effect that I've seen like Night Shift do. We attempted to do a little bit of that on a flat coat. I did end up opening that door just a little bit on the left side. Typically the right side would have been where they enter in and out of, at least as far as I've read, because it's got that throttle. It's kind of sticking out on the left side, which makes it really hard to get in and out of that door. So the right side was usually the one to exit and enter the aircraft. That I've got open fully. I've got the other door partially just kind of kicked open because it just didn't really fit. I just decided to kick it open a little bit. So I think this is good. We are going to call this one quits, and I'm happy to have this one in the display case. Like I said, it's probably one of the most interesting painted aircraft I've got in the entire case. Couldn't be happier with the results, except for that stupid little mistake there on the windscreen. Otherwise, a wonderful build. But this one, like I said, is finished. We're going to stick it in the display case and move on with another project, guys. So until our next episode, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. And we'll see you back here with a brand new project on the next episode of Ben Builds. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you soon.